Well, again, good afternoon, everyone. It's great to see you. Ellie, thank you for putting these Nonprofit Network Ed sessions together for us. Normally, we have an outsider who has an area of expertise that we're sharing with the nonprofit community. But today, I am so excited to be able to chat with all of you myself on year-end giving. So you are all my audience, eager to wrap up towards the year end and start planning in advance. So I appreciate your time with us today. Just so you know, I'll have a few slides and then we'll just have some time to just chat amongst ourselves. And we will be recording this, obviously, and we'll be putting this out on our website for anyone to view afterwards who couldn't attend in person. So that'll be a resource available to you. So let's see if 2 years into Zoom, I'm going to be able to figure out how to share my screen.
Shelly, you might know everyone on the call, but in case we have people who log in, will you introduce yourself?
Oh, sure. That makes total sense. I'm Shelly Maharry. I'm president and CEO of the Community Foundation of Johnson County. Do we want to go, does everyone else know each other? If you want to unmute and say hi. Let's see.
Susan, and we can popcorn.
Yeah. Susan, do you want to jump first?
So I'm Susan Spears and I work for Inside Out Reentry Community.
Oh, great.
I'm Eric Weiler with Kirkwood Community College. Great to see everyone today.
I'm Ellie Moore with the Community Foundation.
I'm John Kenyon with the City of Literature. Oh, sorry, Cassie.
Nice to see you again, John. I'm Cassie with the Community Foundation as well.
I'm Julie with the Community Foundation.
Carol Bonesack, the Iowa City Area Home Builders Association.
Perfect. Well, thanks again for joining us. It's great to see your faces, even if we aren't in person today. Okay, I'm going to get back to my work on trying to share my screen here with you. And let's see what I can come up with.
No worries, John. Thanks for joining.
Okay, got that. Now I got to get to. There we go. Oh my gosh, I got it. Whew. You can all see my screen. Perfect. Well, I'm going to go through a few slides with us and then we'll just kind of jump back into some general information. But first off, just wanted to kind of place set for us where we are with charitable giving. So some new data from last year has come out from Giving USA that shows that Americans gave in record numbers in 2021. So $484.5 billion went to charitable causes. And that breakdown is no surprise. The majority of charitable giving comes from individuals giving to causes that they care about. 19% came from foundations. Bequests was 9%, which in my world actually surprises me because I thought everyone in COVID was sitting at home with their loved ones, doing their estate and plan. So I would have expected that number to be higher, but it is what it is. 4% from corporations. And overall, this was an increase over 2020 levels, which again was a record-setting pace for charitable giving given COVID and the responses that communities had to that issue. With that said, the big elephant kind of in the room is inflation. So even though we've seen record giving, due to inflation, that giving rate is actually flat or negative. And just to sort of kind of place set also for you where did all that money go? You can kind of see the breakdown here. Religious organizations got by far the greatest share of the charitable giving, followed by education, human services, giving through foundations. Public societal benefit, you'll see that 23.5% actually had the largest individual segment of giving increase, and which is great, right? That's charitable giving going to projects that benefit all of us. So whether that's community betterment projects, infrastructure projects, so a great increase there, as well as a nice increase also to arts and culture and humanity organizations. I think the real message about the impact that COVID had on these types of organizations with venues being closed really transferred into increased giving for those segments as well. So I just wanted to take a moment and just sort of pause for all of us to ask the question, how are you all feeling ahead of the giving season? Anybody have any predictions, thoughts, things you're wondering about? I always have things I'm wondering about.
Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of the question, we know that organizations who use year-end giving as like a primary tool for their operating budget, for the year, will inflation really play a big factor? We know we had record high gas prices this year. Things cost more across the board. So will that translate into fewer smaller gifts and any other changes? So it'll be interesting to see that as we move forward. Anybody else have thoughts?
I think potentially we won't see as much in like the next calendar year. We won't see as much giving earlier in the year, but we might later in the year as people are kind of being more cautious with where they're spending. But I don't know. I'm not good at predicting things. I just think in my own life, we're kind of like, oh, I don't know. Let's wait and see.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know that majority of you probably, I'm sure you wear many hats, but many of you probably would fall also under a category of development, right? That's why you're here. Like you're thinking about your work and getting some additional gifts coming in, your year-end giving plan. And so I really like to think about that role in development as really the chief mission ambassador. Your role is to be in the community, sharing all the good work that your organization does and how it benefits the community. Because ultimately, the number one reason donors give is they believe in your organization's mission. They don't go out into the community and say, I believe in the organization's mission. They go out and say, I believe in the work that they're doing, or I find that their work impactful. And that all ties into, your organization's mission and how you and your team and your board are sharing that with the community. So here's a question to start out with. So do you know what percentage of your annual revenue comes from year-end giving? And that's just like a yes or no. And if not, that's a question to like wonder about. So if you have a Julie Yoder on your team like I do, you can go to your Julie Yoder and you can say, hey, could you run me a report for giving between October 1st through October 31st? And, tell me how many donors we received, how much we raised, how impactful is that year-end giving segment to our work. And that will really help sort of define the sense of urgency, define the need to really work on a plan for year-end giving in two segments. And so I've kind of defined those two segments for you to think about in terms of being an ambassador. So dividing up your efforts as an ambassador. And those two audiences are those who know you and those who don't yet. So for those who don't know you yet, your number one goal is to tell them a story. Donors relate positively to storytelling. They can put themselves in the shoes of those that you're serving within that story likely, and can really connect on a personal level with the work that you're doing through storytelling, through impact storytelling, results. Something else to share with them if you're communicating is just very simple infographics that show results and impact. With their support, you're able to amplify the impact. So remember, these aren't people who know you yet. They're maybe a new target audience. You're sharing work through storytelling about who you are and what you're doing. But also, this is a great opportunity to sort of tag into those donors who don't know you yet, but are interested in learning more, kind of skeptical, not sure if they're going to send a gift maybe yet, but engage them in opportunities to learn about your work. Maybe it's you host an open house. Maybe you're offering a tour or to have a visit with a board member. Ways to engage them on a more personal level to try to get them to learn more about your work. And messages from existing donors about why they give, why I give, can also be compelling messages as a new message that you're giving to donors who don't know you yet. And for those donors who do know you, this is a perfect opportunity in year end to personalize those messages. So thank you messages from board members, and you can segment your work into the actual ask of an appeal, but also thinking about year end is just an opportunity to thank donors, and getting your board members involved in that comes full circle in so many ways. It shows the donor that their gift has really been articulated across the organization. And often the board members are people in the community that they might know and trust. So getting that additional thank you is important. I mentioned on a previous slide the infographics slide. Wouldn't it be great if you could receive a personalized, infographics are just real small, kind of summary results that were able to be personalized with, Shelly, your gift made X possible. And that's a lot of things that we can do. And around our office, we use Canva. So personalizing messages that way in Canva can go a long way. Also reviewing your data for milestone giving. Maybe there's a donor who gave 3 years in a row, or maybe 2 years in a row, and then this will be the third time. Hey, Shelly, we want you to know that we appreciate your giving and realize that if you give a gift this year, you'll be a giver for 3 years in a row, how much we appreciate that. Also, tallying gifts over time. Sometimes those donors who've been with you for years, it's amazing when you tally up those gifts over time, how much impact they might have. So maybe recognition of a $10,000 level or something additional that you can do for them. Again, using the data that you already have. Are there ways that you can give those donors the inside scoop? Maybe you've got a project or an award or something on the horizon that you might want to let them know about first. Can you give them a first glance at your annual report? Hey, just wanted to share the good news with you first. Also, telephone those donors. So research shows that a quick telephone call as a thank you for a significant gift is very meaningful, and it can go a lot further in cultivating long-term stewarded relationships than just that general acknowledgement letter. Things also to think about: is there a challenge match opportunity with a donor at year end? you're kind of creating a sense of urgency. So if gifts are raised by December 31st, we have a generous donor who's willing to match the gifts to support X. And it also, for the donor who's willing to do that, they feel like their giving is being amplified and making an impact for your organization. So be thinking about, are there opportunities there as well? And if you're doing any mailing, sending things out, what you put into the mail, especially during year-end giving, we get a lot of mail, right? So are there any ways that you can make your written materials look more like a gift than a bill? So that might be, birthday cards or personal, birthday card type, personalized on the outside, anything that could draw attention towards your piece of material than just the bills that might be coming in that time of year. So I want to just leave you with a few pieces of ideas to put some of these ideas into action. So now's a great time to start gathering your data, identifying your target audiences, grabbing that gift history, knowing what type of impact year-end giving has to your overall organizational budget, just sort of place setting, getting ready, having those lists and things ready for you. Review your stories of the year. What do you want to share with your audience? And these, like for us, it's part of our annual report work, and we're working on that right now. But things like that you would want to include in your annual report, maybe some stories from individual donors that you might, or clients that receive services that you might want to share. Again, sort of reviewing and gathering those stories that are impactful. And then think about creating a key message. Key messages, again, about impact, about need, and narrow those to like no more than 3, because information overload can be a real thing. So you want to just really target their focus in. And don't forget to engage your board in thanking donors. And sometimes that is even, don't feel afraid to actually provide them the script. If they're doing a phone call, provide them the key pieces of information to give to them for script. We often in our office will even handwrite messages and just ask the board to sign those. Just engaging them in the thank you process, but also making it easy for them to want to participate as well. Think about the methods in which your donors are going to be giving at year end. If you're not doing it already, is it time to really lean into text to give? Maybe giving via Venmo? Do you have a QR code that could link to a giving site on your website? So just thinking about your donors and how they're going to be giving to make that process as easy as possible, and also segmenting your reach to different audiences. Also thinking about your delivery system for your year-end appeal and messages. So are you doing mail? Are you doing email? What about video? There's a great number of online services now. ThankView is one of them. But to send personalized video messages to donors, obviously thanking them, taking them behind the scenes if you've got some project that they have helped to fund. So take the video along, show them the work that they have done. That's really easy. And there's also, if you have a YouTube account, there are ways, and I do not know how to do this, but others on my team do know how to make videos private. So you can upload a whole bunch of personalized videos, on your private end of your YouTube account, and just send those out as thank yous. So you don't need to, have it be high tech. The point is sharing out that information. And of course, every opportunity to ask for a gift is an opportunity to thank. So when you're communicating, always lean into the thanks. Thanks for their interest, thanks for their gift, thanks for their willingness to be a partner with you. Because ultimately at the end of the day, we remember that no one ever said, I really wish they'd show less gratitude for my gift. So with that, that's going to kind of wrap up my slides. I would love to hear from you. What are you working on? I'm going to end my slides. Are there any ideas or things that you'd want to work through with the group? Especially pieces of success that you've seen within your organization that you'd be willing to share?
So I have a question for the group.
Yeah.
A recent fundraising meeting that we had, somebody suggested creating some sort of a social media kit where people like on Facebook or something could download the image and personalize it, then upload it to create their own fundraising, post. And so we were trying to figure out how to do that. And we do have a Canva account. And so I was looking at their marketing thing, but I don't understand how to do the personalized portion of it, to be able to change the name or what they're supporting, or so if anybody else has done something like this, I'd really like to hear what they've.
So I can chime in from an organization that I serve on the board for. We've done something similar for our board members specifically. So we created a fundraising toolkit is what we called it, with essentially all the scripts, all the how-tos, how to set up a Facebook fundraiser, screenshots of how that looks, and just send it to them in essentially a Word document so they can copy and paste things over. But then we have, an email script in there, a Facebook message script in there, how to set up a Facebook fundraiser in there. So it's all in one place, but it's still something they can change. So that's kind of how we set it up, and just did highlighting the sections that they have to change before they post it. But that's been fairly successful for us.
And Susan, is this something that you're wanting to do with your board, or just anyone who was willing to fundraise for you?
So we were thinking it would be anybody. So we would post, on Facebook, there are people that do the birthday fundraisers and stuff like that. So we thought that if we had something that they could use to create their birthday fundraiser, or create their end of year, giving or alternative gift giving idea kind of thing. And so, but I was trying to just wrap my head around how do you get it to be a personalized thing? And I didn't know what that component was. So yeah. So the Word doc thing, do you have images that they download and then modify, or is it something that they would create, the image portion, or what?
So we did it by creating graphics for them, and they just save it and reshare the same graphic. So the graphic itself isn't personalized, only their messages.
I was just thinking, an interesting kind of follow-up piece to that would be to have the organization celebrate, all of those who were willing to put out that type of fundraising effort for you, no matter what they raised, thanking them for that extra effort. And, you can tag them in a post, and I think that would probably go a long way too. And then I was also thinking, if you have board members who are willing to lean into that, at a board meeting, share the results, who was the top fundraising board member, a little peer pressure goes a long way. We like to win around, win contests around here, so.
Kind of in that same vein, I have started doing with the board that I'm on, like a kids reward sheet essentially with stickers. So all the board members can see if they hit their like expectation or goal. So their goals are all different, but you can see if everyone has made their personal gift, whatever that might be, or gotten their give get amount, whatever that may be. So the goals themselves are personal, but you can see on like our actual sticker chart whether or not people are getting there. And that's just kind of a fun way for them to see it, but also be a little bit pressured into making sure that their stickers are up.
Well, your actions and your priorities become different when you know you're being held to account and other people are seeing it. So that's a, good driver. Other thoughts? I know all of you already have wonderful year-end giving ideas, plans. Anything to share?
One thing we did last fall at Kirkwood to kind of prime the pump, our priority is student scholarships. So we took the most inspirational, probably 25 to 30 of the most inspirational tug on the heartstrings scholarship student thank you letters. And we reached out to the students to see if they would provide us a picture. And we put together a scholarship thank you scrapbook that we sent out to all of our donors. That was a really powerful piece that went out around the community. And obviously some of these folks were asking for additional money, and it kind of primed the pump, made them feel really good about their giving before they got that year-end appeal as well.
I love that.
We do something similar at our holiday party, which is where we raise all of our scholarship funds, wherever it's at, whether it's on an overhead or monitors around the room, where we have a photo of our scholarship recipient and then a quote from them saying what they did with the scholarship funds, or how much they appreciated receiving it. And it's just a running throughout the evening in the event.
Shelly, would you mind sharing a little bit about annual reports and kind of how their formats and stuff can all be different? You shared a little bit about that earlier this week in a different meeting, and I think it was great content.
Yeah, sometimes, especially when you're a smaller organization and organizations that are just starting out, the thought of creating an annual report can be very daunting. Like, where do I start? And if we really focus on what the intent of the annual report is, it's information sharing about the good work your organization is doing. So even if I think the word of this presentation is infographic. Even if your annual report is something, even a one-pager that has a bunch of infographic information on it, that reports out the work that your organization is doing or has done in the last year, that's enough. If you can embellish it further than that, that's great. But just, being able to share stories of impact and the good work that's happening is enough. So Jackie, I see you on the call. Is this going to be your first giving season? Is this your first giving season at the Children's Museum?
It is, which is part of why I don't have a ton to share. And of course, this Sunday is Move It, Dig It, Do It. So that's where my brain is right now. My brain is on excavators and whether or not a hot air balloon can inflate on Sunday with 20-mile-an-hour winds. But yeah, so we've got plans in the works, but I don't have anything to compare it to. So
yeah,
I don't have as much to share right now.
Yeah. Well, at the very least, I just wanted you to know you've got plenty of support around the network. So if there's anything that we can do to support you through your first giving season, for sure.
I appreciate that very much.
Any other ideas to share? Otherwise, any roundtable questions or pressing issues that you have that you'd want to share to brainstorm with the group? Otherwise, I'm not going to tell anyone that you have an extra 28 minutes on your calendar in which to eat your lunch quietly.
I will add just a couple of things before we wrap up. First off, I threw a couple links in the chat for everyone to some Giving USA information. They are infographics. Some of that information is what Shelly shared at the beginning of the presentation, but you can take that, share it with your boards, share it with your staff. It's just kind of interesting for the sector as a whole. So that's in there. And then a couple dates I wanted you to be aware of. So the last of our peer groups is next week, the 28th on Wednesday. So that's our programs peer group. So if you haven't joined us for those, join in on that one. And then our grant awards will be in mid-November. So many of you are applicants. Keep an eye out in your email for award notifications at the end of October. And then we'll do our celebration in mid-November. So wanted you to keep that top of mind.
One more thought, Ellie, do you have top of mind, not to put you on the spot, have the information about the next nonprofit alliance meeting? Because I'm really, really excited about it.
Yes. So Jocelyn Rowe will be joining us on November 9th. I'm looking at my calendar. And she will be chatting about donor stewardship. So lots of really unique ways to steward your donors, ties in very nicely with end of year giving, conversations around that. So hopefully you'll get a ton of gifts in and have a lot of new donors and a lot of existing donors to steward. And she can help you with some creative ways to go about doing that.
Great, thank you. Glad you've got that big calendar in your office.
My whole whiteboard is covered.
Great. Well, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to get together with us. You know, our work here at the Community Foundation is made so much more rich because of your influence on our work through your experiences and willingness to share and network with us. So we just really appreciate your time and effort very much. All right. Enjoy that rest of that lunch. We'll see you next time. Take care.